You are Locked On Vikings Postcast, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Vikings survive Sam Darnold's 1, 2, 3 interceptions. They do move to 7-2. Final score in Jacksonville, 12-7. Who had that for their scoregami? What's going on back in the lab? Another Vikings Postcast episode right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. Got the full crew, the dream team. Gophers legend Ron Johnson. Sam Ekstom, host of the Minnesota Football Party. Luke Braun, host of Locked On Vikings. He's live on site in Jacksonville. Guys, so much to get into. I want to talk about Sam Darnold's turnovers and what getting Blake Cashman, what that did to the defense today as well. But first, quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use code LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play just $5. That's LockedOnNFL, all lowercase, for $50 instantly when you play just $5. Okay, Ron, felt like we kind of got our groove back last week versus the Colts, and it was all about building some momentum back up, taking advantage of this schedule coming up. But that was an absolute circus for 60 minutes, thanks to Sam Darnold continuing to throw the ball to the other team. 3 picks. Vikes dominated every stat imaginable outside of that. Defense was lights out. And I guess the bottom line is they moved to 7-2. So just big picture, knee-jerk reaction, 8 topics before we get into the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, I almost wanted him to throw the 4th interception because if the Vikings recovered that fumble, I think that would have been a positive yard gain for them. Like, that would have been a big play gain for them. Yeah, absolute circus. Like, I was getting text messages and all kinds of stuff. There was a lot of people today watching I love when they're on the road because we get way more people watching the pregame show. And so I got a lot of text messages about like what I said and how the tight ends were going to take over and XYZ. And then all of a sudden I started getting text messages like, what the hell is going on? And honestly, it was like Mac Jones was like, you know what, Sam Darnold, I know you want to be the worst quarterback out here today, but I'm not going to let you do
Challenge
it. I'm not going to let
accepted.
you do it. And it was like pick for pick. Like, hey, you throw a pick, I'm going to throw a pick. I mean, I think Mac Jones is probably upset he only threw 2 and Sam Darnold threw 3 because now ESPN is going to not talk about Mac Jones and how bad he is. They're just going to talk about Sam Darnold and what the heck happened. Because Mac Jones, we were expecting that type of game, but Sam Darnold, 2 things I noticed. I think he's thinking too much. Like, I think he thought way too much. There was some easy, just dump it off to the tight end in the flat. Just dump it off to the running back on the shallow. And he was taking forever trying to make the big play. And, again, maybe reading his own headlines, maybe reading everybody else's storylines about the Jags defense being terrible. But it just felt like he was thinking way too much. So hopefully next week against the Titans, he stops thinking and he just plays ball and throws the ball.
Luke, again, you're live on site. I remember on the football party on Thursday, you said, if you bet on this game, you deserve whatever you get because this matchup, as lifelong Vikings fans, we're just hardwired to expect the unexpected. Today, that's exactly what we got, a really weird game from start to finish. No one was expecting unless you expected the unexpected.
I think a lot of turnovers on both sides is the thing you can expect, right?
Right.
3 turnovers. Especially with Sam Darnold, like he's good for 2 a game. We just gotta accept, like every game you're gonna get to. We got a little more this time. Maybe we'll get a little less next time. But I think the mood that I come away with is, oh my God, can we just do the normal stuff?
Right.
Why are we getting into the red zone and doing triple reverse like circus nonsense when you're just gashing them with your vanilla zone? Wait for them to stop that.
Yeah.
Wait for them to change something and stop that and really be thinking about something else. Or, you know, your little staple pass concepts, your sticks and your little choices and all those little things that were generating chunks. I mean, you were getting 8, 9, 10 a pop on those. And then you come out with like a fade that gets intercepted, a corner route that you throw on against cover 2. Like, why are we trying the hardest crap in the world when the easy stuff is working so well? They just have to get a little bit less greedy and just be normal.
Be normal. That's all. We're Vikings fans. We don't ask for much. Just be normal. Sam, is this like good teams find a way to win these games and they all count the same no matter what? Or is this it's just not realistic?
Fellas, I'm getting rained on. I'm gonna split.
Yeah. Sounds good, Luke. Sounds good.
Travel
Thanks
safe.
Yep. There he is. There he goes. Our fan of the game. Thanks, son. Appreciate it. Sam, is this good teams just win these games? They find a way to win, even when they're ugly. They're not all going to be pretty. There's ugly games every week in the NFL. Or is this this is not becoming realistic to keep winning games like this against better football teams come December and hopefully playoff time as well.
Well, good defenses can find a way to win a lot of games. And against a bad team, the defense for a second straight week did what it was supposed to do. It's really encouraging to see this defense just lock up. You know, you're -3 at one point in the take give. Didn't matter. Didn't relax one iota. I know no one wants to hear this now, but I'm going to say it again. There are really good things happening on offense. I know you don't want to believe it. You want to hate on Sam Darnold, and that's okay. Maybe I'm just defending my guy Sammy because we got the same name. But you have 57 first downs in 2 weeks. You had 42 minutes of time of possession. It's not just the passing game, like it's the running game. The running game is
the stats are great, top to bottom. Yeah,
you're moving the football. You're extending drives. Sam Darnold started this game actually a really, really good on third down. And then he shoots himself in the foot. And it is problematic. The decision-making in the red zone, these high-risk throws, contested throws where the defensive back has like the clear advantage on the receiver. Can't happen. But there are good things happening on offense, which I credit to not just Sam Darnold, but I credit to the line, the running game, and Kevin O'Connell coming up with some concepts and some plays and some consistency coming off that mini bye. Well, remember, we were concerned this offense wasn't doing anything in second halves. They were just going 3 and out. They weren't even giving Sam Darnold a chance to throw red zone picks. Well, now they are because they're moving the ball, and it hasn't come to fruition yet because of the turnovers, but something is happening on offense that is good. It is just frustrating to see it frittered away by these throws that just can't be made.
Yeah, top to bottom, again, dominated every stat in the playbook outside of the one that always matters in the NFL. Ron, you just mentioned Darnold kind of looks like he's in his own head right now. He's overthinking. He's got to get out of his own way. If you're KOC and Josh McCown, I guess, what's the message? Because to Sam's point, the stats are great. I mean, they are very good outside of the turnovers. In fact, probably if we go back to the beginning of the season, preseason, they're probably a lot better than what a lot of people thought we were going to get from Sam Darnold. But you ain't going to win come playoff time or even December, right? Losing the turnover battle. So how do they just stop the bleeding with him right now?
Like Herm Edwards said, hello, we play to win the game. Like, just do the simple stuff. And I think Luke was right, too. I was going to say on that one play, if they had just run a fake reverse, like give it to, I think Four had it, fake it to Naylor. So you run the jet sweep with, why am I forgetting his name? Brandon Powell. You run a jet sweep with Brandon Powell. You fake it to Naylor, and then you keep it. I think he gets that edge because there was nobody out there because Naylor's guy kind of came around as if he wanted to cut him off, and all the pressure was in the backfield. So there was nobody on contain out there. Brandon Powell probably gets you at least 4 to 5 yards and just gets out of bounds, maybe does something crazy and makes a guy miss, but you're not going to go back to the 21-yard line. So it was just very weird with some of the play calls. And I don't know if Sam Darnold's lack of like accuracy was a part of that, because that, if I'm a coach and I'm looking at what my quarterback has done this game, I might be trying to throw spaghetti up against the wall too and be like, look, I got to come up with something like, remember that play we did 7 weeks ago when we were playing flag football? All right, yeah, let's do that. Like, that's what it felt like. It literally felt like Kevin O'Connell was kind of lost a little bit due to Sam Darnold. Like, I don't think Kevin O'Connell would have been lost if Sam Darnold was hitting the guys.
Right.
But on the broadcast, numerous times, you notice, like, you see Aaron Jones running wide open with his hands up. You see, what's his name? TJ Hawkinson running to the flat, hands up, wide open. You see the other guy, Jalen Naylor, running the shallow, wide open. He was waiting for the big play way too much and taking too many chances versus just saying, look, let's just live to – they should have had at least 5 more field goals. I would have been fine with a 20-point, 19-point game or something with like 5 or 6 field goals, 18-7 even. Like, I would have taken that because those 3 interceptions probably end up in field goals if he doesn't do what he did.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, too.
It's so many. 2 were in the red zone. So
I was going to say so many of these, not just this week, going back to multiple weeks, they've been in the red zone. It feels like, remember, there were so many turnover-worthy plays the first couple weeks that, interceptions getting dropped. I remember the linebacker dropped one in Lambeau versus the Packers. There's tons of them. Now they're catching up to him. Let me ask you guys this, and either of you can just jump in. Because I'm seeing some Nick Mullins comments in here. DJ Willie G says, maybe the Sam Darnold era is over. Skylar Mummert says, I was ready to see Mullins 4 weeks ago. How long is the leash? And would it be a lot shorter, a little bit shorter, or the same if they lost today? What do you guys think?
Well, what is Mullins' fatal flaw? Come on now.
But at least he puts up 470 yards in the process, though. At least we have fun.
Yeah. I mean, you can talk about Nick Mullins like kind of like as this mythic cult figure, but what did he do for you last year? I mean, he threw you out of games. That yes, he's a gunslinger, but it's the same thing that you're going to get with Sam Darnold. If you look at his track record, this is kind of the cards that the Vikings have been dealt this season, unfortunately. And Ron said it. There's a couple moments in the game where Kevin O'Connell's just got to read the room and understand who his quarterback is. Maybe he got lulled into a false sense of security, but he can't keep going back to the building confidence well, saying, well, I believe in Sam. We're going to keep giving him chances. You had a 3rd and 3 in the red zone after 2 picks had already been thrown. Run the ball twice. Yeah. Run it twice. You've been running the ball well. And then later, 12-7, you lead. You can really salt the game down. Kick a field goal, score a touchdown, end it. 3rd and 1, why are you dropping back? Why are you dropping back on 3rd and 1? And it resulted in a sack. There's a couple moments where Kevin O'Connell just needs to understand, okay, this might be the reality. Let's adjust accordingly.
Yeah, Ron, what do you think? I mean, any question at all that Sam Darnold's, barring health, is going to be the starter no matter what happens the next couple weeks?
Okay. So, J.J. McCarthy, is he healthy? Like, did I miss something? Is J.J. McCarthy
I don't
back?
think so. That would be a miraculous comeback, but
no. Like, Sam Darnold is the quarterback for the rest of the season unless J.J. McCarthy, literally touches Jesus's robe or something and he's miraculously healed. And, all of a sudden we see somebody walk across Lake Minnetonka and we're like, oh, okay, Jesus is back. Like, I hope you guys are ready for this. That's what this feels. It feels like the rapture is coming if something like that happens. Like, Sam Darnold, here's the thing. I would actually have been scared for the team if J.J. McCarthy was healthy because what we saw today would have been yankable. Like after the second or third, maybe after the second interception. The first one, you can kind of say, yeah, he should have led Justin Jefferson. And the throw shouldn't have been there. Like I can't wait to watch the All-22 this week. I'm breaking down every interception. Like that's my rewind. I'm calling it Rewind with Ron. I'm rewinding the play.
Trademark. Heard it here first. Yep,
you heard it here first. So Rewind with Ron. You're gonna start seeing that hashtag. I'm looking forward to these 3 interceptions because the one to Justin Jefferson, I guarantee there was somebody else to throw the ball to, or if not, lead him, or jam him in his stomach. Like he threw it high so that Justin had to get his hands up, and he was being grabbed. It should have been a flag. Like he was being grabbed, but throw it in his stomach, kind of like he threw down to T.J. Hockenson, kind of like he threw down to Trent Sherfield. Throw it down. The other 2 late throws. You cannot throw it in the back of the end zone late. The one that also, and I will say some of the stuff you got to blame on some people. Jalen Naylor, if he runs a true post full speed, he scores because he came out of that post as if he thought it was going to go to somebody else. Because I guarantee if we watch the play design, there's probably a better combo somewhere else in that play. Because when he ran his post, he kind of just was running like, oh, I'm running through, and the dagger or something else is going to be the main throw, or the fade route is the main throw. And Sam Darnold's like, oh, that safety is way off the middle of the field, so I'm coming to you. And Naylor just kind of he kind of jabbed, and then he kind of took his time, like, oh, wait, it's coming to me? If he runs it, because the announcer said flat. You don't want to flatten it because you're going to get your head taken off. But if you run full speed, you are past the ball, and it's a normal catch. And as fast as he is, he wouldn't have had to die for the ball. It would have just been a touchdown with maybe a little contact, but it would have been a touchdown. And so I just say that's one that, they're going to watch film back and say, oh, if he did this. But he is his 48 passer rating is 100% on the interceptions. He was 24 for 38. So you got to still give him that. He was pretty accurate. Again, I know Kevin O'Connell might make a joke, might be too soon, but you can say 3 of those actually were completed. So 27 for 38. Right. He had a pretty solid day. But no, 24 for 38, 241 yards. But Sam is dead on. The running game was working. You had over 100 yards rushing. You had 2 running backs averaging over 4 yards. Actually, 3 were over 4. No, 2 were over 4 yards.
Including Darnold. Yeah.
Including Darnold. But you get the 2 running backs, 4.5 and 5.2 yards a carry. you just got to keep running the ball. Like,
Yeah.
and I would have kept running it to what's his name side, because Cam Robinson had a different anger today. Like, he looked like he was ready to maul somebody, and I didn't think they gave him enough chances. But when he got the chance, he took his shots. Like, I will say, shout out to Cam Robinson, because he did not back down from a lot, and he wasn't dirty though. Like, that's the one thing I like. Even the hit on the sideline, he kind of stood up and held the guy up, like, "Hey, man, I wasn't trying to hurt you. I'd like you were sticking the ball out," which I guarantee
That was a
watch
bang
that
bang
back.
play. I was actually pretty PO'd that was a
I think the feet were still in a little bit, and that was
Yeah.
the Patrick Mahomes rule. But because it's a gigantic human being hitting a little guy, it looked bad, and so that's why and when he stood up, there was no fighting on the sideline. He picked him up. He probably said, "Hey, my bad, my bad, my bad." The team let him walk out. Like, there wasn't any pushing and punching. So I do appreciate Cam Robinson kind of having that dog in him a little bit too, because they needed that down the stretch.
Well, you could see it got the whole Viking sideline fired up, even though there was a 15-yard flag, which ended up kind of canceling each other out anyways. You could see even the defensive side of the teammates were coming up to him, giving them dabs, high-five, and all that. And that definitely, emotion-wise, definitely kind of woke the Vikings up after it felt like they were kind of in a zombie state early on, for sure. Lots more to get into. We got to talk about the defensive day with Blake Cashman back in action. And we got to talk about TJ Hawkinson's impact as well. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by 5 Hour Energy. Our friends over at 5 Hour Energy know that being a passionate fan, it's not just a hobby, it's a way of life, and it takes a lot of energy to power through those tailgates, those touchdown celebrations, and those agonizing overtimes. And that's why they've created the Stand the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot with a special flavor called Fan Fuel. The energy shot made just for super fans like you, the fans who are the first in the parking lot and the last to leave. 5 Hour Energy knows that no matter what team you root for, being a fan, it takes heart, soul, and a whole lot of energy. That's why the limited edition Stand the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot is here to help keep you fueled throughout the season. What's your fan fuel this week? Whatever it is, do it with 5 Hour Energy. Available on 5hourenergy.com, shipped nationwide. Today's episode also brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 10 million members to date. And for me and my money, it's just by far the easiest. It's the most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and you watch your favorite players. So simple. All you got to do, you pick more or less on 2 or more player stats, and you watch the winnings roll in. Football season starting to enter crunch time here. Things starting to really heat up. So whether it's anytime touchdowns, receptions, tackles, sacks, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less. Add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Tonight I'm taking Tank Dell over 48.5 yards and Amon-Ra St. Brown anytime touchdown. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay, quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Right now, download the Prize Picks app. Use code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 instantly with any $5 wager. That's win or lose on any $5 wager. You're getting $50 instantly with promo code LOCKEDONNFL only with Prize Picks. Okay, before we talk about the defense and maybe TJ Hawkinson, can we just give it up for John Parker Romo? I mean, Sam, you asked us on the football party, where's your panic meter at, guys? This was Thursday afternoon. I said mine was like a 2 because, well, yeah, I thought it would be a blowout. I didn't think he would have this much, of a factor, I guess, in the final outcome. How huge was he? Can we just give him and the new long snapper and the holder as well, the punter, some flowers today? What'd you guys think?
I thought McQuaid was a little dicey on the snaps a couple times, so props to Ryan Wright for hauling those in.
Yeah.
John Parker Romo, 4 for 4. I can hear, when we did this on the football party, I can hear the post-game game ball speech from KOC right now. We told this guy, be ready, because you never know when your number's going to be called. JP Romo. I can hear it.
Yep.
I can't wait till it drops in about half an hour. That 33-yarder for the lead, that got a little nerve-wracking, but it helps that I think all the kicks except one were extra point length. 33, 34, 35 yards.
Yeah.
And, man, it really felt like the fourth field goal to go up 12-7 was the clincher because the Jaguars were going to drive the field for a touchdown on you after what we'd seen throughout the game. It seemed unlikely. So that was enormous in this game. 5-point lead felt pretty good, to be honest with you. late there.
Yeah, 100%. Let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball. Ron, I know you got to bounce in 10, 15, whatever it is, but just talk to me about the defense dominated another quote-unquote backup quarterback, right? Second straight week. The return of Blake Cashman, I've been pounding the table for. Clearly, he is a huge difference maker today. He's just kind of the glue, right? He's not always making the splash play, but he's around it and impacting a lot of these plays. I could feel that they've been missing him for the last 3 weeks. Overall, top to bottom, is it fair to say this is a Super Bowl caliber type of defense right now?
If I'm not mistaken, the Vikings are undefeated when Blake Cashman plays,
You
right?
are correct. Yep.
So I think when you look at the defense, Blake Cashman does a great job of getting the guys lined up. He does a great job of making sure they know where they're going. He's a better bull rusher. Like he can really eat up a guy where like Ivan Pace likes to dance and dip, and it works. You know what I mean? Like they're different, and that's the reason why one's the Mo and one's the Mike. For those that don't understand that, your Mo backer is more of your power backer, your guy, and your Mike backer is your true like 3-4 Mike backer. And so in this defense, they're putting Blake more in the Mike, and they're putting Ivan Pace in the Mo situation where he can guard a lot of running backs, tight ends out the backfield, XYZ. And so I think when you switch that, and all of a sudden now Ivan Pace has to do Blake's job. And then and Grugier here is good. Grugier Hill is good.
Yeah.
But then he's coming in to do the Ivan Pace job versus like Grugier Hill takes over the Blake Cashman role and let Ivan Pace do what he does. I think that's the big difference. It's like Ivan Pace is better at being little brother. He's better at running around with his hair, mom, get Ivan. Like I don't know what's going on with him versus hey, Ivan, you got to be big bro. You got to make sure we're lined up. You got to get the call in from coach. And it's just a different mindset. And so I think it's better suited for him, even though like at the beginning of the year, people were asking like, hey, who's going to get the green dot? The new guy or you? You've been here for 2 years. He's new. He's still a veteran. If you bring in, and I'm not saying Blake Cashman is that guy, but if you bring in Bart Scott or you bring in Ray Lewis, you let them make the calls because they know what they're doing. And I think that's what happened with Blake Cashman. He is the unsung hero on that defense. Also, I got to give my hats off to Jonathan Gilmore. I talked about it on the pregame show. I said, you know what? Jonathan Gilmore is going to eventually listen.
Stefan or Gilmore or Grenard?
Stefan Gilmore.
Okay.
What did I just call him? I keep calling him
Jonathan Gilmore.
I keep calling him that because that's
a hybrid.
It's a
hybrid.
I played together with the Bears. But yeah, Stefan Gilmore, bump and run Gilly. He did a great job. We did not notice anything he was doing wrong today.
Yeah.
And I see from the comment, I was going to bring that. Sam already brought that point up. Like Ryan Wright, that first one he had to like snag and then bring back
in a millisecond.
That was huge. And for the kicker to not panic, for the kicker to take just a half second and then go to make sure he's not like, oh, wait, you don't have it yet. And then he tries to do something stupid. It just worked out. Like for the Vikings to make 4 kicks with their backup quarter or a kicker, I mean, I don't know. That feels like when I don't know, in the Avengers, when all of a sudden the Scarlet Witch turns and they get rid of the He Who Remains. Like it felt like one of those moments. Like Thanos, you took the glove off and you're like, you know what? We're breaking this curse. And so maybe this breaks the curse. Maybe like this whole kicker thing, we're done with it. I don't know. But I will say when you look at the way Gilmore played, great job because he listened. You saw like he knew like, hey, you're gonna have to play safety every once in a while, but I'm not gonna do it to you as much. He let the defense rush, and he said, I'm gonna stick to this rush. I'm gonna go after him. I'm not changing my stripes. And I applaud him because I kept saying play more coverage. And Flores is like, no, screw that, man. Like, we're going to do what we do. We just got to get home. And you saw Grenard and then Ginkgo eventually start taking over with Blake Cashman. I think that's the key, those 3.
I just want to echo what you were saying. I was pounding the table, not just for Cashman to return, but to let Ivan Pace kind of take all that responsibility off his play because I'm totally with you. He's just a see ball, get ball kind of guy and throwing all that extra homework on his plate. Every pre-snap is just a lot of extra work. For a guy who's only still started – 13 total games, I want to say, going back to last year. So, Sam, I mean, again, I get it, temper expectations. It's a backup quarterback again, but you're not playing at US Bank. You had 3 sacks. You had 3 turnovers by the time it was all said and done, and the Jags only put up 143 total yards. Defense does it again and again. I mean, you can only only play who's in front of you this week. And again, I know this is not the top-notch, Miami Dolphins at their peak offense, but nonetheless, this defense feels like the one consistent piece to this whole Vikings puzzle through 9 games.
Yeah, they've done a lot to alleviate our concerns after the 2 bad weeks, and the quarterback play has been pretty abysmal opposite them. But they're allowed to move the ball as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's first give a shout out to Cam Bynum for the ray gun celebration, which he said, like, he had an interception nullified by penalty last week. He said that his interception would have been epic, and he showed us what it was going to be. Ray gun, fantastic. I also have the stat. So the Jaguars on their second drive, when they were still on the script, went 9 plays, 70 yards for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Rest of their drives and plays in the game, 34 plays, which is like nothing. They barely had the ball. 73 yards, 3 giveaways, 3 sacks. That's 2.1 yards per play. I mean, that's as bad an offensive performance as you can put together, thanks entirely to the Vikings defense. They held Brian Thomas to 2 catches for 12 yards. He's like the rookie leader in receiving yards.
Yeah.
And you had a season high across the league in time of possession because the Jaguars just couldn't hang on to the ball. How many first downs must they have had in the second half? And one of those drives was aided by a Blake Cashman sack that turned into a face mask, correctly called. But there was just no hope for Jacksonville at that point in the game. And I loved that I didn't see the defense take their foot off the gas late. They didn't go into prevent mode. They didn't give up the easy stuff underneath. They kept blitzing. They kept pressuring. They just stuck to their guns. And they got, a takeaway in the last 3 Jacksonville possessions? Is that correct? That's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Here's what I say, too. Like, the one thing, to echo that about the defense, like Sam said, the first drive, punt. Next drive, touchdown. But here's what happened after that touchdown. Punt, 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 fumble, interception, interception. Like, that is epic. That is an epic shutdown of magnitude proportions that Brian Flores needs a statue in Jacksonville as a villain. Like, I would make him a villain in this. So I got to get out of here. But that's the one thing I did want to echo because, like he's not going to get enough credit for this, but he did shut him down.
Yeah, 100%. Ron Johnson, check him out on the Ron Johnson Show each and every Tuesday right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Hey, Sam, how hot of a take is this? The additions of Cam Robinson and Cam Akers, I'm going to throw in here too, mid-season, on the fly, pretty much for peanuts for both of them. The addition of both those guys is going to go down as one of the best moves, you should say 2 moves, I guess, Kwesi has ever made, though, through these 3 years, up to this point. When we look back, I think at the end of the year, we're going to say those 2 moves might have saved the Vikings and helped them win a couple games and stay afloat. Is that a hot take, do you think, right now? Because to be able to just plug in a guy like Cam Robinson and then look at what Cam Akers is doing filling in for Aaron Jones. I know Ty Chandler got a little bit of run today as well, but those 2 moves, again, mid-season, you don't see a lot of moves mid-season just in general, but to get those 2 guys in, replacing guys who have gotten hurt already this year, oh man, those feel like massive, massive moves in the right direction for the Vikes.
I mean, it was almost like picking up free agents because they're paying them very little and they gave up light draft capital 2 years from now.
Which was so important because they already didn't have a lot of capital to play with.
Exactly. Offensive line today, I thought was great. I mean, Darnold was better today than he has been at wiggling away from pressure. There were a couple dicey moments where Darnold got out to the perimeter and gained yards. That hasn't been happening lately, but he only got sacked 1 time.
Yep.
I can't and he did pick up a couple penalties, I think. Other than that, I can't think of a real Cam Robinson problem. Like, he lined up wrong once and might have had 1 more, but another good game for him. The box score isn't super kind to Akers, but I thought the eye test actually was a better game for him. I thought that he was really important staying on schedule. The Vikings didn't have huge runs today. Their longest run was 13 yards, but they were just steady. A lot of 5s, a lot of 4s, a lot of 6s. That's really helpful on first down. And that's how the chains kept moving. I think the Vikings only had 1 3-and-out. I don't know if there's any other Cams they can bring in here down the stretch, but that seems like a sound strategy. You got Cam Bynum, you got Cam Robinson, you got Cam Akers, and you got Cam Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah running the show.
Absolutely, man. The trifecta is real. I'm telling you, that has really, it's tough to say it saved the season, but gosh, we'll never know. But I'm just telling you, moving Brandel left tackle, getting Reisner into left guard. A lot of shuffling And that didn't really make me comfortable ever from the get-go. So, again, 2 huge moves that have already paid off huge dividends for sure. Couple minutes left. Got to talk about this Titans game coming up next week. We should look around the NFL. A lot of fun, crazy games going on in Week 10 as well. We'll check those out. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode also brought to us by Omaha Steaks. Omaha. This year, skip the holiday hustle and bustle. Save 50% off gourmet gifts site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, you're getting a $30 gift card when you shop early and score an extra $30 off with promo code NFL. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our Locked On listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code NFL and a $30 gift card when you shop early. 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 with promo code NFL. Omaha. Minimum purchases may apply. Today's episode also brought to us by FanDuel. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, FanDuel is giving you a chance at a huge return, $150 in bonus bets, guaranteed with your first $5 wager. I love FanDuel so much because when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can go check out the latest stats, you can view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you're placing your bets. Again, $150 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Go check it all out over at FanDuel.com and check out on some Sunday night football action while you're there. It's a good one. Lions, Texans at Houston. Current line, Lions by 3.5. Over-under sitting at 49.5. It's all up over at FanDuel.com and get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed with your first $5 wager. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. By the way, as always, full deep dive from this one on the Minnesota Football Party with our guy Arif Hassan. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, keep up with all the action. That's every Monday and every Thursday. Sam, I got one quick trivia question for you. You ready? Just shout it out if you know it or even have a guess. Are you ready?
All right, yeah.
Coming into today, the Minnesota Vikings were 6-1 all-time versus the Jags, and they had a 5-game winning streak, so they won their last 5 in a row. Who was the only Vikings quarterback to ever lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars in franchise history?
Cunningham beat him.
Yes. Wow.
I'm just trying to
recollection.
think.
Yes.
Trying to go in reverse here. I think Farrat beat them.
He did. Yes.
I don't want to hem and haw all day, but I'm gonna guess this was in that like 2002 zone, 2001.
Come on. What are you, a Viking wizard? It's like Luke Braun's the historian, but you always pull these out of your hat. It is 2001. It is 2001. And it was a 33-3 drubbing in the Metrodome. Stacey Mack had 2 touchdowns on the ground. Jimmy Smith had a $122 from Mark Brunell. 2001.
So it's either Dante or a backup. So Jay Fiedler, Todd Bauman.
Spurgeon win.
That was a Jags game, huh?
Spurgeon win. Yep.
Dang.
There you go.
The Vikings.
It was looking like for a while there today, Sam. I was going to have to put Sam Darnold's name on this list as well, which wouldn't have been great for him.
It's a fourth quarter comeback on the books for Sam Darnold.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Just call him Tom Brady 2.0. Any injuries to report? I always like to check in with the injuries. Aaron Jones got carted off. We knew it was a rib thing. Cartilage came back. Kind of grimacing. I was actually really surprised. I get it. Big time moment in the game, trying to move the chains there on the ground. You want your A-plus talent, but definitely did not look like he was fully healthy. Looked like Darius Taylor yesterday for the Gophers on the ground versus Rutgers. But any other injuries I may have missed that we should just quickly touch on or glance over?
So Cashman with the toe. This was interesting because Luke Braun, our source at the game, he tweeted early that Cashman missed a drive. I think there was the touchdown drive. He wasn't on the field for the touchdown drive because Luke said it looked like his toe was bothering him. And then he had the scoop and score, which stood for about 10 seconds, where I thought he wasn't moving that great on that play. But then throughout the game, he kept showing up. So maybe that toe is fine, maybe a little sore. That's been going on for a while now. I would have expected it to be in better shape than it is, and maybe that's something that'll linger all year long for him. He might have to play through it. So that's just something to, and that might keep him out of practice for a day or two this week. The Aaron Jones thing feels like chest contusion, like bruised rib situation. You just hope there's nothing broken in there. I think it was a torso issue where he took a hit in the midsection and was struggling through it. And I know they can armor him up. You got the padding there. You try to protect yourself as well as you can. TJ Hawkinson played through that a couple years ago. But that's something that could follow Aaron Jones. And then how about Hawkinson, Luke, on the one drive where he had 4 or 5 catches and just got punished.
Bullied.
Looked
like he was seeing some stars there a couple times, too.
Yeah,
like, wait a minute. I came back for this?
He was feeling it. And then the Sam Darnold hand. Let's not forget about the hand. And I'm not sure exactly which motion it was that gave him the injury, but he was flexing that thing out. They were checking it out. Following one of the interceptions, he might have aggravated something there. So there's a couple things to watch on this week's injury report. But again, nobody with anything that seems severe at this point, which is that's really good news.
Yeah, really good news. Anytime you can get through another week in the NFL and not have any of your big name starters or even backups for that matter go down with an injury. We've spent 35 minutes. We really haven't done any type of deep dive on Hawkinson. 8 catches, 72 yards, 4 huge third down conversions. Most of those happened earlier in the game, but my goodness, man. I have heard non-Viking people, right, like NFL experts, call the Vikings playmakers now with Hawkinson healthy when you evaluate wide receiver 1 and 2, so JJ and Addison, tight end 1 and 2, Hawkinson and Josh Oliver. I mean, sneaky good game again today. And then the running back position, Aaron Jones, the best quote-unquote playmakers when you evaluate those 5 positions top to bottom in the league. We're not going to have that discussion today and rank all these, but like when you think about those names and now you're getting Hawkinson clearly back and healthy, what's the ceiling, I guess? I mean, obviously, none of it matters unless Darnold stops the turnovers, but it does feel like now we've been waiting a long time for Hawkinson to get into game shape, get his game legs under him, and just start chewing up the middle of the field again. We finally got that today, and man, it just feels like we're slowly getting there. KOC's going to figure this whole thing out and unlock this thing eventually before it's all said and done.
Safety net, security blanket.
Yeah.
And he's all the cliches. On third down, he just lives around the sticks. Is sure-handed, falls forward. And how many first downs today did he have by like half a yard? Right?
Yeah,
Where
there.
He just got
Bully
the
ball.
Field awareness. He
Bully
can take a hit. Ron Johnson deserves a hat tip this week because he told us all week how the tight ends were going to feast against Jacksonville. And what they do, they went for 12 catches, 124 yards combined. Hawkinson with 8 grabs, and I think some guys on the football party got paid from FanDuel as a result. So good for Hawkinson. Took some hits today, kept getting back up, kept making plays. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the offense has looked and you have to, again, take the obvious asterisk here. The offense cannot throw interceptions, but the offense has looked, I think, its best, its most consistent these past 2 weeks on a down-by-down basis. You've only scored 33 points, and you've won ugly 2 weeks in a row. But just try to look beyond the turnovers, okay? They're a problem. The offense as a whole has been really productive, and TJ Hawkinson's been a big part of that, and the running game's been a big part of that. And I think that the defenses are just devoting a lot of resources now to the pass catchers. It's opening things up just enough for Aaron Jones and company.
Yeah, like I said, you tell people through 10 weeks what Sam Darnold's stats would be. Yeah, okay, maybe you got to cover your eyes over the turnovers a little bit, but like even outside of the turnovers, man, these stats have been phenomenal, and I think have far outweighed or exceeded everybody's expectations when you go back to the preseason. NFC North, your Lions play tonight versus Houston. It should be a great game. Packers on a bye. Bears lost to Drake May and the Patriots. I said this at the beginning of the year. I still feel the same way. This whole thing's coming down to week 17 and 18. Vikings versus Packers, Vikings versus Lions to kind of wrap up the NFC North. If they can stay within one game versus the Lions and you can go into Detroit and beat them week 18, that takes out the head-to-head tiebreaker, and then it goes to conference wins, I believe. And the Lions' only loss right now is to the Bucs, so I think that would be even. But I don't even know what the third tiebreaker is. We'll get there, at that point. But reel me back into the present state. How do you feel about this NFC North, the way things are kind of shaping up, and the NFC Conference, I guess, as a whole?
Yeah, I'm looking at the next 6 games for the Vikings as a pretty critical stretch, and that includes today. So you got today. You've got Titans and Bears on the road. The Bears are falling apart at the seams. The Titans have already fallen apart at the seams. Then you've got 3 at home. You've got Atlanta, Arizona, and Chicago at home. 3-game homestand. So that chunk of 6, you've got 1 now. Could you get to 12 wins? Could you get to 12-2 before that critical stretch? Like, I think you need to bank them now because you end the season with Seattle, Green Bay, and Detroit. Get to 12, go on a run, and that's a lot to ask, but you're going to be favored in all these games. Get to 12 wins and put all the pressure on Detroit. Detroit does have the Texans tonight. Tough game. They've got the Niners on the schedule. Tough game. They've got the Bills on the schedule. Tough game. So there could be a loss or 2 out there for Detroit. Meanwhile, the Vikings are playing games for the next 5 weeks that they'll be favored in. So if you keep surviving, winning ugly if you have to, there's a real path here. There's a real path here for the Vikings to put themselves back in the division hunt. And important to note as well, if you can win the division, you're eyeing the 1 seed. You're eyeing the bye week. And there was a big result today in that regard. Washington loses a 13-point lead to Pittsburgh, and they fall. So the Vikings now, even though they're the 5 seed, they've jumped to the number 2 record in the NFC, and that could be important down the stretch. So you got to keep banking these wins, no matter how you get them, and hope that Detroit just drops 1 or 2 to give you a chance.
Yeah, this is what we talked about that first month, man. If you can get through the gauntlet, the early part of the schedule, which they did, they passed that test with flying colors. Then the rest of the division has to go play teams like the Niners and Texans and so on and so forth later in the year. And now, right now, literally today, we're reaping all the benefits of that, getting those teams out of the way and winning along the way. The only thing I'm worried about is these 3 straight road games. You just don't see that a lot in the NFL. I don't know. Maybe this is a question for Ron on Thursday, but what type of toll does that grind take mentally and emotionally? 3 straight road trips, especially after, I'm assuming this was an emotional, exhausting win, but nonetheless, you're right. You should be favored definitely in all of those games, even if they aren't at US Bank Stadium and at home. Final 60 seconds, closing thoughts. I know we'll break down this Titans game on the football party, but anything that intrigues you, just top of your head? Titans are still trying to figure out what they're doing with Will Levis. We may get another backup game, maybe potentially our 3rd backup quarterback game in a row. I wouldn't put the odds favored on that, but nonetheless, they are in definite limbo right now with the quarterback position.
Yeah, Levis playing today, right now, against the Chargers, if you want to go scout him after this. I think he's thrown a touchdown already. Here's emptying the notebook. Jonathan Grenard, run blitzing today. Excellent. Just sniffing out the run plays. Stifled Travis Etienne, and Tank Bigsby left the game early, so they didn't have really any run game to speak of. I still hear the echoes of Mark Sanchez in my head, yelling into a void. Was he in a tunnel? Was he in a fishbowl? Was he yelling from the hallway?
Stop.
What was Mark Sanchez? And probably not his fault. Probably some, unfortunate tech issue. But what was going on there? That was shot party foul on Fox.
That's what you get on Fox. You don't get that on CBS, but on Fox, yeah. 50-50. Yep.
It's always the Mark Sanchez crew, I feel like. I'm looking at, so we teased it on the football party. Mac Jones, worst deep passer in football last year with the Patriots. I'm looking at his next-gen chart. Very interesting. I mean, everything was short to the flat. He attempted 1 throw, Luke, beyond 18 yards, and it was the flailing interception to Bynum.
Yeah.
That's it. Horrible day for Mac Jones, through the air. That's obviously not a solution for Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence out. And then last thing, how about what is Travon Walker doing on the last running play? Punching and body slamming Aaron Jones. What in the world is he thinking?
Oh my gosh.
That's all I got.
Yeah. That's all you got. No, that's great. Yeah, we'll have to check the all 22 on that. I'm sure he'll have to answer that one in the media scrum and maybe from the NFL as well with a little letter. How about this? Here's my final 30 seconds. The 2021 draft. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, the first 3 picks. The next quarterback, 10 picks later, Mac Jones. I think I'm missing one more quarterback. Oh, Justin Fields in between there as well. All 5 quarterbacks not looking great right now. Not looking great right now. So that 2021 NFL draft, not the year to take a stab at a quarterback. If you're taking a stab on anything outside of a quarterback, odds are you hit Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle. That was the Christian Darrisaw year as well. But yeah, what a you just never know with these quarterback draft classes. So some draft history there for you.
Interesting.
Yeah. Vikings hold on. Absolute circus. Sam Darnold, 3 interceptions. What are we doing? Final score 12-7. Yeah. You heard it right, 12-7. Huge shout out to all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. Check out Ron every Tuesday. Ron Johnson Show, Luke Braun, always killing it over on the Locked On Vikings podcast. Sam Ekstom, he babysits us all. That's pretty much what he does in the Minnesota Football Party. That's every Monday and every Thursday. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you right back here November 17th. 1 week from today, another Vikings postcast episode. Vikings-Titans, noon kickoff. Should be another good one. But until then, signing out.